Hey everyone, happy Saturday evening. And I know that there's lots of folks who are doing other things this evening, but the fact that you are here on Saturday evening tells me that you either have a very big desire or a very big need or some combination thereof. And my hope is that for those who have a big desire or need, that the next 30 minutes can be as impactful for you as a similar 30 minutes were for me only a couple of weeks back. My name is Randy Schrader, and it is my pleasure, it is my honor, in fact, it is my privilege to deliver this information to you. Welcome to LEV AI. And what is that? That is a new company. What does LEV AI stand for? Leverage or leveraging artificial intelligence. And as we go forward, it says on that front screen, it says the future in your hands. What exactly is that about? In order to really understand our perception of the future, one needs to take a quick glance backward at the past. There may be some of you here in this session who are approximately my age. My guess is that most of you are younger than me, but there are some who are about my age. I'm 67, 68 in just about 60 more days. And I remember back in 1982, I was meeting with a friend named Andy K. And Andy K had started a company called K-Pro Computers. And that day he showed me this clunky box sitting on his desk, and he could see the future. I could not. His vision extended past today, 2025, back in 1982, and my vision was about right here. Andy said, Randy, the day will come when every desk will have a computer like this on it. He could not foresee the day when it turned into a laptop or an iPad. He couldn't foresee the day when it was handheld devices, but he could see with clarity that we would soon, as an entire society, be required to adopt computerization. Notice I said required. Do you think it was your choice, my choice, our choice to become computerized? It really was not. If we failed to become computerized, we would have failed, period, because the entire world adopted. We really didn't have a choice. The choice we had was whether we simply chose to use or whether we became a conduit to other people's use. Those were the two choices. I made the wrong choice. I just used. A couple of years later, I had another opportunity, another bite of that same apple when I had my first dial-up modem, and I can still remember the sound of that fax sound coming through the line. And I remember waiting what seemed like an interminable period of time for the first website to open. My field of vision was here. I could not see that the day would come in the not too distant future when literally everyone would be required to adopt online commerce and online life. A failure to do so would simply mean that one became a hermit living in a cave. We didn't have that choice. The choice we had was whether we simply used the internet for our own purposes and an existing business, or whether we became a conduit to cause that which was in fact destined to occur. What was that destiny? The destiny was the entire world becoming users of online services. Our choices were, will we simply use the technology or will we be a conduit to other people's use of the technology? And once again, I didn't make the right choice. This time it's different. I've had those two experiences, and now I can see with greater clarity. I can see, as Andy Kay could see, that the future is already set. The entire world will be compelled to adopt artificial intelligence. That's the truth. That adoption has begun. The question now for each of us is simply, will we use the technology? And don't consider it to be a choice. It is not. We will be required to use the technology of artificial intelligence or live in a cave as a hermit on a hillside. So we will use it. The question is, will we have the foresight, the vision to become a conduit to other people's use? The future is right now in our hands if we choose to act upon that opportunity. And by the way, what do we seek to deliver? Not the convoluted, confusing mess that artificial intelligence is now, that frankly is only being successfully navigated by those who would describe themselves as professional marketers. Now, we seek to bring accessible artificial intelligence to not just the millions, the tens of millions, the hundreds of millions, the billions of people who will be required to adopt artificial intelligence. We seek to bring accessible AI to the masses. What an incredible thought and vision that is. Now, when we find ourselves at the genesis, at the forefront, at the beginning point, then a wise entrepreneur would find ways to mitigate the risks that are typically a part and a parcel of that earliest positioning. And here it's done for us. Why? Because while LEV AI is brand new, in fact, this company's birthday will happen sometime in the first 10 to 15 days of September. It is, in fact, brand new, but we operate under the ecosystem, under the protective umbrella of a gentleman named Terry LaCour, one of the most gifted entrepreneurs and one of the best operators in our field of endeavor, that being bringing new technologies and new products to people as times change. Being operating under that ecosystem eliminates the risks that are typically a part and a parcel of that positioning. Now, Terry's management style is that he owns companies, but he doesn't run them. He hires gifted people to run the companies under his supervision. And of course, I could not be more pleased than the fact that Terry LaCour chose to hire my son Blake to be the day to day operator of this business. Why would he choose Blake? And by the way, I could not make that choice. I could make the request, but I could not make the choice of doing the hire. It's not my company, it's Terry LaCour's. He chose Blake. Why? Because Blake grew up in my home and he understands what an entrepreneur goes through. He understands what sacrifices an entrepreneur makes and he honors those sacrifices. Why did he choose Blake? Because he's an attorney. He knows how to navigate the complexity of global business and the legal challenges that go along with it. He chose Blake because Blake was general counsel at one time in his life for a very large direct selling company. He then lived in Israel as a general manager. Then he lived in Portugal, being fluent in Portuguese. He ran the business for Monavi throughout Europe, North America, and Latin America. His most recent success was as the CEO of Medical Marijuana Incorporated at a time when the transition from being vilified to widespread acceptance of cannabis in its various iterations. In some respects, Blake was responsible for that in the companies that he ran. Blake also launched a successful direct selling company in that environment called Canaway. Now Blake's non-compete agreement has expired, making him eligible to guide this enterprise into the future. And what an incredible future it is going to be. I think you'll all see and understand that with me in a couple of moments. I find this one of the most remarkable things, one of the most remarkable statements that I've ever read, contemplated, and considered. When I began talking with others about artificial intelligence, what I immediately realized was that people were already talking. They just weren't talking to me. They were talking, whether they were middle school students on school buses, they're talking about AI. College students, graduate students, they're talking about AI. And I found that AI is also being talked about in the most powerful boardrooms in America and in the world. Here, Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, without question, one of the most brilliant and successful men in the world of business and tech, made this remarkable statement. AI, artificial intelligence, is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past. Folks, sit up and pay close attention. This is not a subtle shift. Here, one of the most brilliant men in the world states AI is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we have done in the past. This cannot be considered for any of us a continuation or an extension of our careers. Cannot. If we look over our shoulders at the most striking successes we may have had historically, those successes were made possible by then existent technology and then existent knowledge. Here we see one of the most brilliant men in the world saying AI is more profound than anything that provoked our historic successes. That says to me that our greatest success can be in front of us if we become among those who properly leverage artificial intelligence. And here, one of the deepest minds, perhaps the deepest mind in all of deep mind, Demis Hassabis says the difference here with artificial intelligence is that it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and maybe 10 times faster. Now, folks, if these statements were not being made by people with such profound knowledge, credibility, and historic success, we might think these guys are a little bit wiggy. These are brilliant people. They can see with clarity that which we need to see. They can understand that which we need to understand. The difference here with artificial intelligence is it's going to be 10 times bigger than the Industrial Revolution and perhaps 10 times faster That says to me that we should look carefully, we should look with a discerning eye, but we should also look with a profound sense of urgency. Why? Because literally every moment of every day, a few of the grains of sand of opportunity that are made possible by the global adoption of artificial intelligence, and specifically the grains of sand of opportunity filtered from the top of the glass to the bottom of the glass, as we now find ourselves 21 days in to the pre-launching behaviors of this company, LEV AI, and we find ourselves 12 to 17 days away from the formal launching of the business. Now, that's me saying it, not the company, but they have announced that somewhere between the 10th and the 15th, those are logical opening dates, and I believe those timelines will get met. And so now we have this remarkable moment of opportunity where, in my own opinion, we can perhaps get not just 10 days, not just 100 days. It is likely possible that we can get 1,000 days value out of one day properly invested in this project right now. And that's evidenced by what's transpiring. 21 days ago, I think, we had our very first discussion like this one. And now, 21 days later, we have more than 12,000 people who have adopted this idea. And that 12,000, without question, will become 25,000 in the coming week when this company launches. It will be one of the most remarkable launches anyone has ever seen in the home based business arena. One certainly should not be fearful of the advent of AI. In fact, it should not be feared. It should be harnessed, and it should be harnessed and capitalized in such a way that it benefits you and your families, your business. The numbers here, I think, should be viewed the following way. It states that 61% of professional marketers use AI already. Well, it's a tiny percentage of the global population who would self describe or be described by others as a professional marketer. And what are they using? They're using this mixed bag, this convoluted mess, I'm sorry to say it, trying to select a group of individual applications that don't speak to one another very well. And they certainly have not been taught by anyone how to leverage artificial intelligence. 61% of professional marketers use AI now, maybe three or four or five at the max, 6 or 7% of just ordinary people are using AI. Remember, we have a technology that, yes, would be welcomed by any professional marketer, but we seek to bring AI to everybody, not to that 3% of society who say they're professional marketers. That's like the 3% of society who have embraced home based business that I've been involved in for all these years. This is about the global population. But let's talk first about these professional marketers. What percentage of those professional marketers use computers? It's 100%, isn't it? That's the percentage who will use AI. What's the percentage of professional marketers who are online? 100%. That's the percentage who will use AI. What percentage of people on planet Earth that are middle school age or older use computers? That's the percent that will use AI, folks. What percentage of those people are online? That's the same percentage that will use AI. This cannot be considered an extension of our careers. This is something quite dramatically dissimilar from any possibility any of us have seen before and had the opportunity to really capitalize to leverage. That 38% increase in sales productivity, therein lies our opportunity. If, in fact, Sundar Pichai is right, and this is more profound than fire or electricity or anything we've done in the past, then 38% increase in sales productivity, that implies something far less than what could be, should be, will be accomplished. When people learn how to use AI, truly learn how to use, when they learn how to leverage it, that won't be 38%, it'll be 380% or 3,800%. More profound than fire or electricity or anything we've experienced in the past, 38,000%. 80% of entrepreneurs say AI gives them a competitive advantage. That's that tiny percentage of entrepreneurs who are currently using that mix matched market basket. They've not been shown something as we now show, and they've not learned how to leverage AI, or that number certainly would be dramatically different than 80%, and it shortly will be. And so, LEV AI, that's the name of our company, standing for Leveraging Artificial Intelligence, makes it simple for entrepreneurs to launch, market, and grow businesses. That's music to my ears. Why? Because I'm an entrepreneur, and that's what I've done. That's how I've invested my life. The problems that LEV AI solves, I've referenced the fact that it's 38% increase in sales. That should be 38,000. What are the problems that we solve? Well, costly complex, costly, fragmented marketing tools, multiple applications to meet a single purpose. An app for CRM, an app for social media development, an app to build websites, an app for, an app for, an app for. Bring that all home into one solution, and suddenly we can have a dramatically different outcome. And when I contemplate and consider the fact that there are 388 million small businesses in the world, solopreneurs, home-based businesses, mom and pop shops, what do they all want? There are some uniquenesses, but there are far more similarities, far more similarities. What do they all want? They all want more customers, more new people coming to use their product, their service. They would like to extend the lifespan of every client, customer, partner relationship to permanence if possible. They would like to improve the profitability of each relationship for themselves and for the other side of that relationship. It will become immediately clear to you in just the next 5 minutes how LEV AI will make that most important thing, having a never ending supply of new users of a given product or service. That will be music to the ears of every solopreneur, entrepreneur, home based business operator. Removes barriers that make people feel stuck. And over the course of my career, this career that has been rooted in entrepreneurship, I have never yet interacted with a single person who has done all that which is required to succeed, but done it poorly and therefore failed. They've simply not done it. They have been stuck. You'll understand in a few minutes how this concept will help people not be stuck. And then I love next to last bullet point, it says removes the fear of failure. I smile and I interiorly laugh when I think of that. How shall we remove the fear of failure? By helping people succeed. When their interactions lead to success, there's no reason to fear failure. Let us show them how to leverage artificial intelligence will remove the fear of failure by removing the incidence of failure. That's a pretty cool thought, I think. A group of problems that need to be solved. I described the fact that I was there with the advent of computerization. I was there with the advent of the internet. I was also there for the advent of the very first social media groups, social media networks, and I have participated in many of them. But I never made a conscious decision to grow a big, broad social media presence. Today, it has become evident that one can measure future results based upon current influence, and one can measure current influence based on one's social media presence. If one wants to improve one's future value, one needs to improve social media presence. And here you see it beginning to play its way out. I state in each one of these conversations slash presentations that I believe the net cost of utilizing this service, this solution, will be less than zero for many, maybe even most people. Randy, what do you mean the cost is less than zero? I mean that if you're already using a CRM, customer relationship management tool software, you can stop using it. Our CRM, inclusive in the LEV AI solution, will do everything you're accustomed to. I believe we'll do it more effectively and efficiently, but it will do things that your CRM does not. First, you can do simple screenshot import, and each time you import a contact into your CRM, inclusive in the LEV AI solution, then you know what'll start happening? Your AI solutions, part of your market basket, will begin immediately scanning the social media presence of each person imported to that CRM, and it will tell you what they want and need. It will tell you what their hot points are. About a decade into my career of building teams, I realized that I was making a big error. And this was the error. The error was that in each interaction upon perusal, I could see that what was I in fact attempting to do? I was trying to impose my will on another. I was trying to cause others to do what I wanted them to do for my benefit. Well, that's backwards thinking, isn't it? What I learned about a decade in is that I need to listen before I talk. I need to find out what's important to other people, and I need to create solutions to help other people accomplish what they want to accomplish, subordinating my success to their positive results. When I began trying to learn what others wanted to do and helping them do it, as opposed to trying to provoke them to do what I wanted them to do, my results began to change dramatically for the better. Here we have an automated way to accomplish that same thing and to accomplish it very quickly. It doesn't need to take a decade to learn how to do it well. when every time you import someone into your CRM and you then begin receiving daily information about what is important to that person, now we get a chance to respond to their wants or needs. And you know what? Your own personalized GPT will create the interactions and create the stream of interactions, which lead to an ultimate positive conclusion. Notice I said your personalized GPT. This week, 700 million people in the world logged on to Chat GPT. And what were they looking for? They were looking for answers. They were looking for solutions. And they got good answers and good solutions, but they didn't get great answers or solutions. Why? Because what they received was generic. Chat GPT scanned the world of the internet and gave them generalized solutions. Your personalized GPT will provide personalized, unique solutions that are based upon your company, your comp plan, your methodology, instead of a vague general solution, a specific, precise solution. That can cause, with a properly trained individual, a dramatic change in the results of each interaction. I've indicated that in my belief, you can actually have a net negative cost. In other words, it'll pay you to use the service immediately. Why? Because of unnecessary expenses you need not incur. You need have no tech firm build or manage your websites. You can do it yourself starting right now. And you can do it for no added cost, literally no added cost, inclusive in the service. I've done it. Takes about 7 minutes. It's pretty magic. Reminders to build your business. Remember, I stated a moment ago that I've never seen a person do all that which is required to succeed, but do it poorly and therefore fail. Unfortunately, I've witnessed and participated with countless people who just didn't do what was required to succeed. And there are a few reasons for that. I'll tell you one that I think is maybe the most prevalent. When one becomes an entrepreneur, they became. They started out in almost all cases as an employee. Very few start as entrepreneurs. We start as an employee, and in the employment situation, there are certain things that create comfort. We are reactive. We go to work when the company tells us to go to work. We don't have to choose. We don't have to make our own decision. We leave work when the company tells us to. We perform the tasks the company tells us to perform. We make our reports to the person we were told to make those reports to. We react. And there's a certain comfort to that. But maybe you are like me. You see, I came to a point in time where I realized no matter how great the job is, I don't want it. Why? Because I want to do what I want, when I want, with whom I want, if I want. And I want to create for myself my own worth and value in the marketplace. I don't want that value to be assigned by an employer. Well, all those things are great, but I've never seen a job description that says we're looking for people who want to work when they want, where they want, with whom they want, and if they want. I've never seen that. And so you see, if I want those opportunities, then I must become an entrepreneur. And that demands that I then become proactive, no longer having the safety of reactivity, doing what an employer tells me. Now I must provoke the actions and I own them, good, bad, or indifferent. Quite different. I've never seen a person do that which is required to succeed but fail. I've stated that. So why didn't they? It is this uncomfortable limbo between reactive and proactivity. But now imagine your own personalized GPT sending you a message on day one of your new project. Hey, today's day one. And you remember from your onboarding conversation, here are your 3 assignments. If you've not yet completed them, do so now. Assignment 1, assignment 2, assignment 3, and you getting these prompts over the course of your first day, your first two, your first 100 days. Among other things, I fly airplanes. I have an instrument rating, and that means that sometimes I fly in the clouds. I am constantly course correcting, course correcting, course correcting to stay on the center line of the airway. If I'm executing what's called an ILS, an instrument landing system approach, I'm constantly course correcting to stay on the center line and on the glide path. Daily prompts, daily reaches, daily touches designed to help you stay on the center line, designed to get you back to the center line if you stop, designed to accelerate the process if you're allowing it to decelerate because of that fear. I think absolutely remarkable changes in the percentages of people who can have not just modest success, but dramatic success as a result of those nudges. And then I think of a very, very comfortable middle ground between reactivity and proactivity, and that's the monthly lead program. I've stayed away from leads throughout my career simply because I've always been concerned about the possibility of someone spending money on a lead and then not getting the outcome they wanted. They didn't get a new customer, they didn't get a new partner. But what if there was no added cost? What if a monthly lead program was inclusive in your subscription? Then would it not be obvious that there is a comfortable middle ground? Here I am reactive to the demands of the employer. Here I am proactive to the demands of an entrepreneur. And here in the middle, I have a group of people, 25 a month, 100 per month, who have said, "Hey, Randy, you have information that I want. You know something that I want to know more about. Can you please explain it to me?" Isn't that a whole lot easier? Reacting, being reactive in between. Pure reactivity as an employee, pure proactivity as an entrepreneur. Now I get to react to the demand of the person saying, "Randy, I want more information." And now I get to be proactive in choosing the information to send and the processes that I use, a middle ground between reactivity and proactivity. Cicero said so many years ago, the skill to do comes from the doing. And as skill is gained as a result of doing happening more frequently as a result of this improved empowerment, eradicating that self centered fear, which people stand frozen behind. New skill is developed. When skill is developed, more confidence leads to a more correct self esteem. A more correct self esteem leads one to no longer be frozen in fear behind what anyone else may say or think about whatever we choose to do for a living. This middle ground between reactivity and proactivity is of literally immeasurable worth. And of course, there is still more. Every plan includes your own AI twin, an avatar, but think of it as a digital clone, or pick an avatar from the library and give it any script or use your personalized GPT to create it. And the difference between you and your digital twin is your digital twin can speak fluently in 150 languages. I cannot wait for the moment that my message can be delivered 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in every language, every time zone, because suddenly my message is not limited to the physical space that I occupy. Somewhere between the 10th and the 15th of the coming month, September, I believe. I'm not the company owner and I'm not an officer or director. I'm not an employee. I'm not making an announcement. I have a high degree of confidence the company launches between the 10th and the 15th of September. When it does, it will launch with two packages. And by the way, there is a $19 registration fee and a $19 annual fee. So $19 first day, 19 on the 365-day annual renewal, continuing. Then one will buy one of these two packages to utilize the service. There will be a third package introduced in the future. At the outset, too, the basic package will cost $49. The pro package will cost $99. I don't know how that hit you when I said that. I said it kind of fast. The basic package will be $49, the pro pack $99. Folks, unlike anything I've done before, you cannot buy what this company offers for less money anyplace else, period. In fact, if you try to buy what this company offers someplace else and buy the mix match bag of goods trying to create this package offering, you're going to spend at least 3 times if you're able to find the services at all. And that's not something I think, it is something that I know. For the first time, delivering a unique product which cannot be acquired elsewhere for less money, a tremendous consumer value in the marketplace. This changes the entire world. We're not limited to that 3 or 4% who've always embraced home based business. Your own AI video twin, your likeness, your voice, speaking your script flawlessly in 150 plus languages. And as I've described, you can even use AI to generate your script, which provokes conversations. Personalized AI writing assistant, one of the various ways that we begin growing your social media presence from the very first day. And as has been described, what does that do? That improves your market value. Multiple profiles in case you have multiple messages to deliver available in the Pro package. A CRM with screenshot import and AI powered profile enrichment telling you what your candidate wants to hear instead of compelling them to hear what you want them to hear. And I skipped past that AI powered social growth and engagement. Once again, a big part of our message is that we can cause your market value to go up. On a daily basis, we can cause your market value to go up by expanding your social media presence. CRM with screenshot import, instant web builder, as we've described, and enhanced CRM, which when every candidate is introduced, every client is introduced to your customer relationship content management tool inside LEV AI, you will then they will again begin receiving content from you. And that will in turn create more comments, more likes, your social media presence goes, your value in the marketplace grows. And then each time one is introduced to the CRM, they are introduced to a professional funnel, which guides that person step by step to arriving at his or her point of correct logical conclusion. We are not trying to convince anyone to do anything, nor will we. What we will do is guide people in the most effective and efficient way through a series of actions which allow them to arrive at what is the correct choice for them and the correct magnitude of commitment they should make and how much time they should invest in the project based upon their realities and our realities. Searchable candidates, over 2 billion of them, creating this easier, as I said, easier, I didn't say easy, this easier transition from reactivity to proactivity. And then finally, I don't know who you are out there, but there is someone on this session right now. There may be several, but there is someone who, for whatever reason, has arrived at a point in his or her life where they're ready to make a major change. I've been at that cross point 2 or 3 times in my life where a major change was required. If that is you, if you're ready to make a major change, if whatever the past was, no matter how good, medium, or bad it was, if it's not good enough for you anymore, and you made a decision, you're going to push yourself against the grinding wheel, you're going to leverage AI, and you're going to be a conduit to other people's use, then you will live at the top of the compensation plan. And as a result, you will actually be given an interactive, a conversant digital twin. I think of this with such joy and anticipation. For 35 years, I have developed content. That content has always only been available wherever I am in the English language and the hours of the day that I happen to be awake. So inefficient. Suddenly, not just those 35 years, but the 15 years prior to that in entrepreneurship and learning how to live life successfully, all available. I can only be in one place at one time. I'm right here in my home in Heber City, Utah. Starting in a couple of days, my digital twin can be in every city, in every nation in the world, at every time of day, and will be loaded with so much content that it can actually be conversant. It will feel as though it were a live conversation. The very best of you or the thought leaders you look up to the most in over 150 languages. The things I've described do have unmatched value. They can't be acquired in some cases, no matter what you want to spend. And simply by discontinuing no longer needed subscriptions, I think you'll be able to quantify and measure $300 to $800 in immediate savings. What exactly is the market opportunity? There really aren't very many words that can describe it. What is the percentage of people in the world who use the internet? That's the percentage who are going to use AI. What is the percentage of people in the world who use computers? That is the percentage who will use AI. Today, it's 3, 4, 5, maybe 6%. How big is the opportunity? Well, there are 8 billion people on planet Earth, about 7.5 billion of which would be considered viable candidates for what we offer. And we're going to provide to you the mechanism by which you can make that offering. This is a dramatically bigger possibility than anything I have ever seen. It's a bigger possibility than anything you have ever seen, too. I hope so much that I am able to properly describe it so you don't let any of those grains of sand of opportunity slip through your fingers. So now we find ourselves at this decision height. Do we simply use? Well, you see, that decision is already made for us. Yes, we will use because the entire world will. The question is, will we be a conduit to other people's use? And if the answer is yes, then when they acquire that package, that $50 package, that $100 package, or a slightly larger one coming down the road, you will immediately be paid 50% of that purchase price. And by the way, that purchase price will not be artificially diluted to some made up thing called commissionable volume or personal volume or business volume. No, a dollar into the plan, a dollar into the company will equate to a dollar in the plan. And I know that there are some people who have their careers are different than mine. I have built my career, my life has been about building teams, building organizations in depth. I know some people who have had a bright, bright, bright flash of light moment in the sun. They caught a Super Bowl touchdown. They won Britain's Got Talent. They have influence. For those people who have influence and don't want to build teams, well, leverage AI. all those people, let's say you have 20 million followers on Instagram. There are people who do because they won Dancing with the Stars, for example. All of those 20 million, they're all going to use AI, all of them. If you use your influence to become their conduit to this iteration of AI, you'll get paid 20% of the cash that they spend to utilize the service day after day, month after month from now on. If your career is more like mine, where you have grown knowledge and skill in developing teams, this is a simple 8-level unilevel compensation plan, everyone getting paid 20% on Gen 1 and then 4% through 7 generations additionally, or 8%, 8 generations total. And please remember, this is based on cash, not based on PV. And so that 4% would look more like 6 or 7 if you were comparing it to what's out there in the marketplace. Whenever an idea is right, the market tells you it's right. What has the market told us about this idea? Well, 21 days ago, there were 0 people. 21 days later, there are 12,600 people. The market is telling us we want it now. Move faster, bring it to us. Whenever something moves that fast, that guarantees that there will be many, many more people in the organization who need leadership than there is leadership available to teach. That's the truth. And so there must be a mechanism in the comp plan that causes a true leader to look way past that 8 generation block of volume, just to keep looking, working deeper and deeper and deeper until such time as you recreate yourself in the compensation plan to stabilize and solidify the leg. So when you get to the bottom of that 8 generation unilevel at 4%, if you're living at the top of the plan, you'll just keep on getting paid 4% until it intersects someone who's a director, and then an innovative, and then a visionary, and then a legacy. It guarantees that the legs will continue to be developed in depth, even with limited leadership available at the outset. The matching bonus, another key, another uniqueness. I've not seen a matching bonus predicated on all parts of the plan. In this case, someone in your group in your first 4 generations of enrollment tree. What does that mean, Randy? Well, you enrolled Tom, that's generation 1. Who enrolled Bill? That's generation 2. Who enrolled Sue? That's generation 3. Who enrolled Sally? That's generation 4. Whenever anyone in your first 4 generations of enrollment tree earns an acquisition bonus, you get a matching bonus. When they earn a team commission, you get a matching bonus. When they earn an infinity payout, you get a matching bonus. This will create the largest checks in our company, and it will create larger checks than anyone's ever heard of in this kind of business. And Randy, why? Why do you say that as though it's already a sum certain? Well, because in my career now, 35 years in developing teams in home-based business, my organization has done more than 5 billion US dollars in sales. Not the companies I've been involved with, my organizations. People in my groups have been paid $2.7 billion in commissions. Stunning to say, my career earnings are in excess of 50 million US dollars in this method of doing business. Never with a project or a product that would appeal to more than 3 or 4% of people. Suddenly we have a project that will be forced upon, literally thrust upon the entire global society, 7.5 billion people eligible to use it. See, how high is up? There is no limitation to what can be accomplished because it is a foregone conclusion that the entire population, including you, will be required to adopt AI. The only question is, will you become a conduit to other people's adoption and therefore have a potential to complete absolute financial breakthrough? So the question for me and the question for you is, am I, are you, are we ready to lead the AI future with LEV AI? My answer is a resounding yes. I'm hoping so much that yours is too. If you have not yet completed the online enrollment form, please do. I apologize for being a little lengthy here tonight. I got a little excited, I guess. We try to keep these conversations 10 minutes shorter than this one. I'm going to turn it over to Larry Lang. This is a gifted, skilled entrepreneur. He's a friend of mine. He's a person I enjoy and I respect. Larry, tell folks what's on your mind.
Hey, Randy, absolutely incredible job on a Saturday night. So glad everybody's here. We still have a packed house. Yeah, I'm just excited. I was one of those people lucky enough to see it 21 days ago. Immediately, I saw the potential in AI. I've been interested in it myself. Just like Randy said, you start talking to people about AI, everybody's interested in it. Everybody wants to know how to use it. Some people are scared of it, but once you tell them you can make money by getting in front of it with LEV AI, it's the easiest thing I've ever shared. I'm right there with Randy, 35, 36 years in this business. This is one of the fastest teams I've ever built in anything I've ever done. I've got 131 personals, amazing people. We just hit 10,000 in our team, and absolutely the sky's the limit. We have teams all over the world. The other thing I love about this, it's global. You can share share that with anybody in the world. Remember, your twin is going to speak 150 languages. Pick a market that you want to go into and open that market up. That's what we've got here at LEV AI. I like the fact that we are going to be almost like a AI university. We're going to be educating people not only on these amazing tools, but how to use the tools and how to benefit and earn from the tools. So that is a full-fledged thing right there, and just an incredible presentation when you see everything we've got. But I would encourage everybody. Randy said we've got maybe 10 to 15 days left. You should be talking to everybody you know, letting them know that you've got this amazing company coming out with AI. They can take a free position right now and get a VIP first look. That's all you have to say. They're going to take a free position, then get them in the WhatsApp group, get them plugged into the 2 live calls every day. This is the most duplicatable, the easiest thing I've ever seen duplicate, because I've had people that have not been successful. You find people that follow you through your career. Maybe they're not successful. You try to help them all you can. But I've got people in this that have 200-300 people already in their organization, just absolutely losing their mind. People are ready for a company like LEV AI. It's fresh, it's hot, it's new. You should be sharing it. The other thing I love about it, it works with everything. It works with a brick and mortar business. It works with a travel business. It works with a crypto business. I don't care what it is. When you have something that can speak 150 languages that looks exactly like you, that will take your sales and your business to the next level. So Randy, just honored to be here with you, Blake and Terry. I know where we're going to take this thing, and it's absolutely exciting. So thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you.
All right, you're the best. Folks,
You too, buddy.
I want you to have a good sleep tonight, kind of. But I want this to be etched into your mind. I want you to sleep like I will sleep tonight. I will sleep tonight, always aware as I sleep, only sleeping shallowly, that a few of the grains of sand of opportunity are filtering the top of the glass to the bottom of the glass while I sleep. And I will not allow my sleep to go very many hours because these are precious days, folks. I've learned critical lessons in my life. And one lesson I've learned is that if I can get one day's value out of one day's work, that's a fantastic day to ride a horse. If I can get 10 days value out of one day's work, what a fine day to play golf. But every once in a while, something comes along where we can get 100 days value out of one day's work. Now, stop and think about this. Only 21 days ago, I began engaging in this process. It's never felt like work. Why? Because I'm excited about this and other people are. And in 21 days, that's turned into over 12,600 people. Well, that sounds to me, Larry, like more than 100 is value out of each day's work. I've never experienced or seen anything like it. This is a remarkable day, folks. It's not one day's value out of one day's work. It's not 10 and it's not 100. It is some multiple thereof. Don't let too many of those days slip past. Tomorrow will be another big one, folks. Business presentations at noon Eastern and at 9 Eastern. Larry, myself, and a whole bunch of others are standing by ready to help you make your best better and how to turn that better you into a better company and opportunity so that you can live life the way that you deserve and the way you want to. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful night. Larry, thanks for being here. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
you, buddy.
Randy.
Bye bye.
Bye, guys.